Okay, I wanted to do a little introduction to conjunctions first, because conjunctions are a very important part of speech. If the subject and the verb are the most important parts of any sentence, well, it's the conjunctions that tie these kind of things together. So we've already seen that a subject and a verb is a clause, really, or in this course I'm going to call it a clause. And I very often call non-finite clauses that contain participles and gerunds, I call those phrases usually, because as far as I'm concerned, a phrase doesn't have a subject and a verb. But that we will go into in more detail in another class. What I want you to understand is this part of speech, these conjunctions, they join nouns, adjectives, adverbs, verbs, but also phrases and clauses. And the first 7 conjunctions that we will look at, the coordinating conjunctions, they are very often called fanboys. And fanboys is just an abbreviation for the 7 words which are the coordinating conjunctions. So these are for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. And you can see they are only 3 letters maximum. Some of them are 2 letters. But these are the only 7 words that can join equal parts. They're very unlike the subordinating conjunctions, which join unequal parts in a sentence. And I'll tell you what that means in a moment, or I'll explain what that means in a moment. But these 7 are very important. They also join all of these, yeah. But they join equal parts, and that means, especially when we're dealing with clauses, this is the most important point. When we're dealing with clauses, these 7 words join main clauses. And when you see a main clause, remember, a main clause is anything that you can put a full stop on the end of. If you can put a full stop on the end of it, it's a complete thought. It's a main clause. So you can say, I eat ice cream, full stop. That's a main clause. And there'll always be a doer, I, and a verb, eat, in any main clause. And so you can say, I eat ice cream, comma, and I eat sausages. Yeah, why not? But all what we're doing there is we've got one main clause, I eat ice cream, being joined to another main clause, I eat sausages. And we're using a fanboys word, and, to join the 2 main clauses together. Okay, and in that sense, they join equal parts, they join equal clauses. The subordinating conjunctions don't. They join subordinate clauses to main clauses. Okay, and so only those 7 words join the main clauses. If we look at subordinating conjunctions now and can compare them to coordinating conjunctions, I want you to see that these guys begin incomplete thoughts. Now, they begin a clause, a subordinate clause, which means they do have a finite verb in them. In other words, a doer and a verb. So when you think about it, this word if, you always follow it with a doer and a verb. You say, if I was hungry, or if I were hungry, perhaps that would be better. If I were hungry, or when I went to the beach, or although I was hot. And notice that if I was hungry, if I were hungry, when I went to the beach, although I was hot, all 3 of them are incomplete when you just say that. You would never go up to somebody and say, although I was hot. But you could think of a time when you might go up to somebody and say, I eat ice cream. Yeah, but you couldn't walk up to somebody and say, although I was hot, and then walk away. They would think you're crazy. And that's because you're just leaving them with an incomplete thought. And that's what you'll notice about all these subordinating conjunctions. They have a subject and a verb after them. Now, they don't have to, because there are things called reduced subordinate clauses. And we'll look at those in another class. But normally, most of the time, you see, if I was hot, if I were hot, when I was hot, although I was hot, because I was hot, as I was hot, since I was hot, while I was hot, whereas I was hot. And they're all incomplete when you just leave it at that. And so you can't just leave it at that. Now, I want to make it clear that you could model these as subordinating conjunctions, even though they are more than 1 word. And I think this is important because it simplifies grammar to a certain extent. If you understand that that's a subordinating conjunction, that's a subordinating conjunction, it's just like these words. They're followed by subjects and verbs, yeah, finite verbs, but it's incomplete.